All right, welcome to the Friday Night Mix Show. Woo! All right, it's great to have us back on set and just doing what we love to do. Thanks for coming, Katrina. Do you want to say hello to?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, hello. Thanks for joining us again. And Laura, as usual, you have a dental
I had some
appointment
dental
today.
procedures today.
Oh.
So if I look a little swollen and maybe lopsided, that's why.
Africans like that, though.
A winner's a win.
Yeah. All right. So welcome to the show. It's the Friday Night Mix Show, as we always like to bring it to you every Friday. And it's just a community where we like to talk and where we like to just talk about whatever it is that might be a major issue going around. So, on a lighter mode, how has the week been?
This week was busy. I felt like it's almost like I don't have a slow week in my life, at least. But I'm so grateful. It was a good week. Everyone's healthy, everyone's safe.
Perfect.
And it only snowed one day. So
Nice.
I had a busy week too. Very, very busy. But good, really, really good.
The bird is sharing the news that you might be on the screen soon.
Yeah.
did you get news on that?
No. Well,
Okay.
we will get there, right?
It's exciting though.
It is exciting. Oh my gosh.
So let's just break the news. It's not what she expected, but she's still going to be in the movie, right?
Okay.
And that's good news, right? That's good news.
Gratitude, accountability, perspective.
Correct. There you go.
Got it. That's
So,
good.
so what else is happening in Calgary? Any news? Any information?
It snowed.
I know that threw the city for a loop, even though everyone knew it was coming, right?
Yeah.
But I was yet again caught without my new winter tires, and I had
Oh.
2 weeks to do this. Now, don't judge. I do have winter tires on, but they're a whole season old, right? So I should get that looked at. And then there was accidents everywhere. There's slush everywhere. So I mean, it happens.
So guess what
whatever.
happened when it snowed this week?
Yeah,
I was just driving back from soccer, whatever,
yeah.
and my car slid off the road.
Oh.
Got into the pavement, because I was like, but the lady driver was just there. She was just looking at me like, don't just hit my car, right? And it just.
So did you
went
go into
there.
the ditch?
No,
or-
not really. It was just a little over the curb,
Okay, that's
and
okay.
then I had to just wiggle my way out of there and
Yeah.
drove up. And I was super close to the house. Like, I was like, what's going on here? That particular bridge,
Yeah.
there's always when there is snow, it is always crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful to the guys that those trucks that throw stuff on the road.
The
Is
gravel?
that like gravel? Oh,
Gravel,
rock,
sand,
combination.
the mixture.
of, yeah.
You're right.
it's really nice because it
Yeah.
helps to grip the tires, right?
It does. Yeah.
Oh man, that was really nice. All right, so enough of the conversation around Calgary. Let's dive straight into today's conversation, right?
Yeah.
I can see you guys smiling.
Well, last week was good.
Yeah.
So I know that Katrina had a lot of good feedback on
Yeah.
the marriage memoirs, good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
And I gotta point out that on the advertisement it says ugly. So
yeah.
that's
I
like
think
a
he
double.
meant to-
That's
to
a,
do that.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a
yes.
double ugly.
Yeah.
I can appreciate it.
And if
Yeah.
you're watching us from anywhere on Instagram and
Yes.
Facebook,
Yeah.
please make sure you leave a comment. We want you guys to get involved.
Yes, of course.
Also, you can call us. Call us on 825-734-3652. That's
Yeah.
825-734.
It's a WhatsApp number, so you won't get charged,
Yeah.
right? So feel free to call or text us your questions or suggestions,
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, make sure you do that. And we still have the $100 gift on the
Yes,
show.
we do.
It's still there.
Exactly.
Basically still there. Now, what
Yeah.
you need to do to win that money
Yeah.
and go straight, like I'm gonna interact immediately.
Yeah.
Just call in, tell us who's your favorite host.
Okay,
You
so
hear that,
all you have to do
TikTokers?
is call in and tell us who your favorite host is for $100.
Who your favorite host is, and answer 3 questions actually.
Okay, yes. There's a caveat.
Because I know
So
they're
win
just gonna
$100
say it's Laura.
Tell them the number.
Yeah. So the number is 825-734-3652. 825-734-3652. You can call us on WhatsApp. You can call if you're in Calgary or in Canada or in the US. You can call us. It's not toll free, but I mean,
Yeah.
just call us. And you can also leave comments on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
We will be monitoring it. We will be reading out the comments. You can ask questions also if you want.
Yes.
Today, we'll be talking about marriage memos still, but we want to talk about finances in marriage. Now,
Yes.
when we say marriage, people think, okay, when you're married to someone else. Finances also as single parents.
Yeah. And also that transition of coming out of a marriage, which I know Katrina and I can have a lot of
conversation
wisdom,
around
Yes.
knowledge, experience in that realm.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
Mine's
I
actually
think
a little opposite. Oh,
okay.
twist.
I'm
Yeah.
interested to hear
Maybe
this
we should
then.
start on the twist.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So when I did leave, we had decent income, but what made me able to survive on my own is I had gotten a promotion as a manager. So I actually wasn't in a very bad
Okay,
position.
that's
There was-
good.
There was differences, right?
Yeah.
Had to be able to live, the girls and I, by ourselves. Stuff like
Okay.
that. So I was actually better.
In
I mean, there still would have been more if we had stayed
Yeah.
together, right? But I ended up having an advantage, which really did help me a
Yeah.
lot.
Lots of people don't have that coming out of a marriage, right?
Yeah.
When something dissolves like that, and a lot of people are fearful because of the financial situation that they might be putting themselves into, because you are in a way dependent on that other income, right? So if you don't have a job or you don't have childcare to get the job, that puts you in a bind. So that's actually
Absolutely.
really good. That's really, really
it's
good.
really good. It's really good. Let's start up with this. I actually did write up some things here I wanted us to discuss.
Yeah.
So it says the major issues the married couple would always fight over is money.
Yeah,
The
it's a
question
big
is
one.
why?
Why?
Lack thereof,
Yeah,
debt,
yeah,
maybe they went in not knowing debt the other person had, and now you're
True.
married, you have all this extra debt that you didn't realize or wanted to take on.
How would you manage it if you get into a marriage and the guy is not really good with finances?
See, I think I was never taught how to manage my money and
We are
stuff like
not.
that.
We're never
So I
taught.
think like if
That's
somebody
true.
is stronger in something, like
Yeah.
my partner is stronger in the finances, managing that, then I'm okay saying, hey, do that, do the other things, whatever, or
Okay.
be involved, right? Maybe
Yeah.
learn. And if I was better at it and my partner wasn't, then I would be like, here's some helpful tips, here's some things that, do, and teach them too.
Right.
Some people don't come from different upbringings and how they grew up is what they do when they're older, right?
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
is it easier said than done especially for ladies? Like we hear ladies like, you guys don't want to hear excuses. You don't want to listen to excuses. Listen, I want the best things in life. You have to provide the best thing in life. What do you say to that?
I think
Especially when you don't have kids yet. Let's say you just got married.
if you don't have kids, I think this is a conversation that we're missing before the marriage, right? And so we've got to get that out of the way. It's like, what are your expectations around finance? What do you like to splurge on, right? Are we keeping accounts separate, or are we having both of our incomes funneled into one account, and then we have our spending accounts so that you do what you want with your $300 a month and I do what I want? So all those things I feel like have to be discussed before you put a ring on it, because if you
Absolutely.
get into marriage and then you're like, oh, you've got debt. Oh, she likes to spend on really expensive purses. I didn't know that. It's going to cause tension, right? And it's really just because you didn't talk about it beforehand. So I think women that have the high expectation of like, this is the lifestyle I want to live, I want pretty things, because we do tend to be like that for the most part. I won't deny
They're
it.
expensive.
We are, and
There's a lot of
maintenance
things
is
from head to
expensive.
toe that-
Now, some of us have to outsource, right? Nails, hair, eyebrows, etc. And so do guys, but maybe not as much as women. But then I had to learn to be frugal and smart and resourceful, right? So if I can do my own eyebrows, if I can do my own hair, I'm saving literally hundreds of dollars. But that's something that can be discussed, and the husband can gently suggest that. I feel like, hey, you know what? I know that maintenance, because it could be a topic of where the woman could take it as, oh, you don't want me to get this, this, and that. But it's not that. The man cares for you. He just wants to know where we can set ourselves up for success. So girls, have your expectations and your standards. That's totally okay. But make sure it's manageable, especially if the man is helping you. Say, okay, these are the ones I have to outsource at the salon, for example, or at the shoe store, or the purse store. But these are other ones where I can, get a waxing kit at Walmart, or get my girlfriend that does my nails for $40 at her house instead of $100 at the salon. So I think there can be compromise, but it comes back to our topic from last week. It's communication.
Identifying
really communication.
all these things. It's just like the roles, identifying, well, I like da-da-da, what do you like to spend, what do I like to spend, then there's no surprises, right?
Exactly.
If you're saying, and then you have to be willing to work together, because ultimately it's a partnership.
Yeah.
So you should be willing to work together, listen to your partner. You might not like all the time if you are used to something, but budgeting is important.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe you want to take a really nice trip, or have a savings, or have those things that not everything has to be all spent at once, or we always have to do certain things.
Delayed gratification. You can wait. You can wait a little bit.
So I think, in my opinion, a lot of time when you're just about to get married, especially when it pops the question, will you marry me? The butterflies are always there, kind of supersedes every other thing. So it's always tough to have this conversation.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
How is it going to be? How is the finances going to be in the marriage? So a lot of us will get into the marriage first, and then the first, second year, then you begin to realize that, hey, this lady was trained differently. For my case,
right?
My wife is an accountant, so she's very frugal of money. I am not. I have an idea. I have a program I want to shoot. I have a movie I want to shoot. I have a music I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm just, the next money that comes into my hand, I'm just pumping it there, even if I'm owing something else, or if I,
That's
so
tough.
it's always tough, and and then that's why I like what you said, gently,
Yeah.
like, because
You
go about
delivery
saying,
You
counts.
can't take everything away at once.
No.
exactly, because you go, hey, you're wasteful, you, and the person feels like, are you trying not to support my dream?
Yeah, it can come off as like an attack, right? And you know what? I have a little story on that from my previous marriage, right? So he liked to spend on technology, computers, like cool stuff, but those cool things come with a price tag. Now, I was totally okay because it's a good product, it's gonna last. But you touched on something really good. It's like, make sure debts are paid, make sure bills are paid, all those things, and then have the conversation of, hey, I kind of want to update my computer, or my car, or my workout equipment. And then if you can do it slowly, then cool. If it's something that's kind of like a bulk buy, then maybe say, okay, let's save 2 months, and then you can get it in 3 months or whatever, right? But there has to be compromise, because I feel like if those impulse buys are the ones that you're like, oh, if it's over a certain limit, or you're kind of like your boundary for finance, if it goes over $300, then that's where the problems maybe start, or it gets a little tense.
Some marriages, the spouses, like, kind of, I want to say, like, I don't know if it's the right terminology, but like closet spend. Like, they'll put
What
stuff
is
in,
that?
like, buy stuff, and then they'll just have it there, and they'll be like, oh, I've had it for ages, and not letting the partner know the tags are there.
Lies.
Right? Yeah, like,
What?
yeah, people do that too. So the partner's like unaware of actually how much somebody is actually like spending on stuff, and
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, I want to ask our live. So everybody that's on Facebook right now, are you a closet spender? These are purchases made behind your
person's
spouse's
back,
back,
convincing.
and then you slowly trickle them out.
Slowly, yeah.
Who's a closet spender? And then on the flip side, what's your limit for spending when you're with a spouse? When do you tell them, I'm gonna spend, I'm gonna splurge? Is it 100? Is the cap 200? Is it 300? Fola, what's your guys' cap with you and Yomi?
So we don't have a cap really, but I mean we just kind of look at the account and like, okay, we're expecting the mortgage to come out of the account. We're expecting the car loan to come out of the account. So like, okay, what is there might not be enough, so nobody touches the money. Like we don't have a particular.
So you
like,
guys basically communicate on how
oh, yeah,
everything goes
we have
monthly.
to.
Okay, good. Someone brought up here, wait for Black Friday sales. So do you and your wife, like, do you guys, I guess, come together and you're like, hey, Walmart has a sale or Best Buy, this is where we're gonna go spend like a couple $100 bucks
That might be a
on
good
both of
idea,
us?
but I don't do it.
You don't do it? Okay, no.
It's coming.
I don't do Black Friday sales either,
I don't do it, yeah.
but I'm not much of like a splurger. I don't buy big ticket items. But is that something that you did when you were married?
Yeah, I'm always about a bargain.
Okay,
No
nice.
matter how much money I will have in the future or whatever the case,
Yeah.
I'm always gonna be looking for a bargain.
Okay.
I'm always, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm always, oh dang it, I had the word. I'm always careful, like just because I have that amount of money, it doesn't mean I
Conscious?
have to spend and
Yeah.
waste it
Yeah.
either.
True.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm always like careful. Okay, if I have that, I want to buy that. I can maybe get it a little cheaper somewhere else or something. Like,
Yeah.
I can't remember what the word I was
I mean,
looking for. But
I would say most Africans, we have.
practical. Sorry.
Practical spending.
Came,
I like that.
came.
I like that.
So, like coming from Africa, we don't have much of bargains, right? There's no Black Friday. I mean, it's started
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
But way back when, 7 years ago, 9 years ago, it's not a thing.
Yeah.
We didn't really have that kind of culture. So it's and then we don't have a credit culture also, where
Right.
you can buy a house on credit, a car, buy stuff on credit. We don't.
So is it all just cash?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you don't
so
have
that-
it, you're not
So
getting
if I want
it.
to buy a car, $30,000, I have to save up to buy it. If I want to buy,
That's really
build a
smart.
house,
You have to have
so
the money.
we don't, and that's why you find a lot of Africans we don't like we don't take advantage of the credit system here. I've
Okay.
seen a lot of, while I was working
At the dealership?
dealership,
Everything credit.
a lot of guys tell you, no, I don't want to use a lot of Africans.
Yeah.
I don't want to use my credit. Like, no, this is how the system works here, but they don't want to.
And
We
then
have-
some go opposite. They come here and then like
yeah,
within
yeah.
1 year, it's
They
like
get all the
house,
credit cards.
Yeah, and then they're in
Yes,
debt and
yes,
then they're in
Yeah,
trouble.
that's true.
You're absolutely correct. So some people would then come like, oh, free money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me,
Yes.
and then the max are like, oh, shoot, and then they're
Yeah.
paying a huge amount of it. So this is a conversation that we need to have. But there's something I wanted to actually read out before we continue. This is from the nomordebts.org
Okay.
website. Says
Yeah.
3 strategies to manage money as a couple with debt or income disparity. So the first one it says combine your incomes.
Combine your income.
I do that in my house.
Okay.
Incomes are although I think my wife doesn't give me all the money though. That she
Do you want us
We'll
to
have
be
to
truthful?
find out.
Do you want us to be truthful with you?
I sense that she's not giving me everything, but I give everything, right? Everything I make.
But I'm sure there's a good purpose for it.
There's always a good purpose,
Yeah,
right? You guys
yeah.
always think there's a good purpose.
She's putting some in savings,
Yeah.
and
right?
you like
A little
to say,
bit tucked
my
away.
money is our money, but our money is our money.
No, no, some people will say
Like-
our money is our money and my money is my money.
Yeah, like what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine.
Yeah, yeah,
That's-
yeah, yeah.
And some people do work on that
I don't
system.
operate
have
that
not
way.
been guilty of that, so don't start.
I have it. When I was in my my marriage and my other major relationship, we had our own separate bank accounts,
Okay.
but all the money was together on both
Okay.
relationships. So,
Yeah.
So how
and
do you
then,
keep the money together if you have separate bank accounts?
well, our money we'd had our own bank accounts. Our paychecks would go there, and then we would move
And then you
into
would combine
another
it?
account.
So we
Okay.
have our bank accounts,
Yeah,
like separate, but we have like the joint account
Yeah.
where the mortgage and all of that comes out from.
yeah.
And what we just did was initially salaries were going to different accounts, but we just like, you know what,
Just put it together.
just let the salaries come in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my salary come in there. I don't know if ours come in there.
He's trying to ruffle some feathers. Yeah.
All right, so you say combine your income. That's a good scenario.
Yes.
Both incomes are deposited into a joint checking account, and you need to ensure both people are using the account responsibly.
Yeah.
That's very key.
Yeah.
Checking in monthly.
Yeah,
You
monthly.
should have monthly.
Some people do it weekly. They
Yeah.
sit down on a Sunday and they go,
Oh,
okay,
I was gonna talk
let's
about
check. Let's
Yeah.
check in. Not just on your marriage, but also finances, right? And then you plan out your week. But you have to be so organized to do that
I think
kind of
monthly
thing,
is
right?
more reasonable for
I
people.
would too,
Because
yeah.
sometimes too, you don't know if things are going through your account. I've had that a couple times and I'm like, what is that? And then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to be a little more diligent here.
Yeah,
Now,
definitely.
this is just advice, right? We're not
Yeah.
saying you have
Yeah,
to do it.
exactly.
It's not
If
the
you're
say all
not
be all.
comfortable with having a joint account with your spouse, by all means, please.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're, you know, whatever works for you, but it's just
Yeah.
that based on research that
Mm-hmm.
these guys have done, you know, they could see that. I mean, it works for me perfectly.
Yes.
Back in Nigeria, we never had a joint account.
So how did it work in Nigeria if you didn't have a joint?
We didn't have a joint account. In Nigeria, it's more or less like you want to. There isn't much bills to pay.
Okay.
The rental for the house we resided in, it's more or less like we pay every year. So here you have to pay mortgage every month, right?
Yeah.
In Nigeria,
Could you
you pay.
imagine?
In fact, you could even tell your landlord, "I want to pay for 2 years," and then for the next 2 years, you're not bought. So
That's nice.
the
actually.
only thing
But the
we
rent's
really
lower, obviously.
yeah.
spend money on is groceries. That's
Okay.
basically what we spend money on.
Yeah.
So anything major, maybe want to buy a car, of course we're going to be buying with cash.
Yeah,
Then we sit down and like, okay, I have
and talk about it.
3 million naira, you have 2 million, okay, let's bring it together, let's buy this car. You know,
Okay.
that's how it works. So, but here you really need to plan.
Yes,
It's
you
just
do.
facts.
Everything costs more, right? And
Yes.
so, and like what you said, if you're joining an account and that's how the partnership is working, but you know each other's habits, right? And maybe one is more responsible than the other, then I would definitely suggest checking in and just making sure that you're taking temperature of like, hey,
Yes.
where are we at? Did we maybe overspend this week? Did someone go to Starbucks, you know, one or two too many times? And then see where your balance is at.
The pros is that in this case, it doesn't matter if one person makes twice as much as money as their partner because this budget is balanced with your pooled income, right? There is no distinction between what's mine and what's yours and all of that. A word of caution, this means you also need to agree upon discretionary spending.
Yep.
While one partner vices may be cigarettes and Starbucks, the others could be comic books and movie tickets. You know, so you,
Yeah.
like you said, communication is very
So what
very
she suggested, like, I think it's really good to give each person a budget. Whatever you
Yeah.
spend on that is your business, whatever, you know,
Yes.
so then it doesn't feel so constricted or controlling or different things, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. I know a couple, just to kind of side note, I know a couple, they have their separate accounts, they have their joint, right, that the bills come out of, and then they each have their fund money. And so whatever I think they've agreed upon, $400 or something like that, you can do whatever you want with that money. And that's where gifts come out of, special treats, outings, right? If, for example, husband wants to go on a ski trip or a biking trip over the weekend, it's coming out of that fund. Now, if they're going together as a family, then they'll join forces and kind of go from there. But it works for them, and it makes sense to me, too.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So it says the second strategy is to create a one shared joint account. The scenario is similar to the first. It offers same wiggle room for each partner to have some financial independence. In this case, the partners keep their own individual accounts,
Yeah.
but they have one joint account. So that's what I do actually.
I think it's important to still keep your own account.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I do exactly. She has an account, I have my account, but we didn't have that joint.
Yeah.
And then you determine how much you want to share, how much you want to contribute. You want to contribute 50% of the monthly shared cost. You want to contribute 70, 30. And then the last one is go Dutch. In this scenario, all finances are kept separate with mortgage payments and other bills split right down the middle without any joint accounting binding the household together. All debts and student loans and all of that, they're separated, so your partner isn't factoring into your debts, and the relationship can, if there is a break in the relationship, it can be a
Oh, that
clean
makes-
breakup without
makes
one
sense.
partner
If-
feeling like they may be on the
Yeah.
losing end and all of that. So it depends on how you want to make it work, but because we know that finances can be a tough issue in marriages, sometimes there's even broken homes,
Yeah,
it's important that you actually have this conversation
it is.
before you get married.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
The only thing with going Dutch for me is like if one of the partners doesn't make as much, but then everything is 50-50, it's not really
It's not fair.
50-50 for the one person because it's taking a bigger chunk of their check or their
So
income,
do you feel
right?
you should adjust that in a marriage?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Gershom says, depending on what's available, that's on Facebook.
Yeah.
She said, depending on what's available, the couple should decide how they want to run their thing.
Yeah.
I mean, some couple are very cool. They don't have issues. I mean, if your husband is earning
Good money.
good money,
Money, yeah.
it might not really matter, right?
Okay.
Might not. Money might. But it also may be because if you're, or if the wife is spending, let me just say,
Yeah.
the spouse.
Either.
Then the other one is kind of just spending and spending. Of course, it's going to get angry. He or she's going to get angry like,
Yeah.
no, you can't just be spending. And all of
No,
that. Let's
yeah.
go to the second question I wanted to ask quickly. Money in marriage represents emotions, beliefs, and behaviors. Now, what this means is Fola has been trained differently.
Yeah.
The background, you've grown, in a totally different environment, and now you relate with money, or you've been maybe trained or not trained,
Yeah.
and then you're getting married to someone else that's also been trained differently when it comes to money. Money, when you come together, you have to start doing a lot of knowing each other and a lot of kind of understanding each other, and
Yeah.
that can really be rough. And
Yeah.
it brings emotion. I mean, you might believe the way I'm trained, the way I relate with money
Is
is
right.
better than exactly.
Yeah.
How do you compromise, if I can put it that way?
I guess from experience, that's the only way I can tell it, right? So when I was married, we kept accounts separate. Now, we made sure everything was paid, all of our bills. I would say his expenses were a little bit more because of technology, and the fund money would go to higher price tag items. But for myself, maybe I like to eat out more, or I like to get my nails done and stuff like that, right? So if there was like some type of issue, then there was always a conversation, right? It's like, hey, we can't spend that much this month. Like, we've got to dial it back, or they're
How
growing.
does that conversation end?
It's growing pain. It's growing pain because at the very beginning, you kind of feel like you have this ownership of your money, which it is. You're working for it. But when you go into a partnership, that's just not the case all the time, right? You've got a household now that's combined, and so it's not my money, it's our money. And I think if you're going into a marriage or any type of partnership thinking it's my money only, I think you're just setting yourself up for failure already out the gate, unless again it's communicated beforehand. But I find like a lot of those issues, they end in a lot of resentment, and then that's where closet spending happens. That's where unrealistic expectations happen, resentment, and then it's always a topic of like just arguing, right?
So, Raman says, I love your program. Thank you so much,
Thank
Raman,
you. Thank you.
for chipping that in. We love you guys too. We hope that you learn anything too. How do you handle such situations?
Well, I'll just take from my experience in my marriage. I didn't grow up learning how to manage money. I did the best of what I could. But for us, it always ended up in an argument because I always felt like a sense of control, like my way or the highway type thing, right?
Yeah.
So I always fight against that. Like, that's my natural
That was
thing.
your inclination.
Right. So
Yeah.
we didn't do so well in that department, I would say, because I wouldn't say he was 100% that much more better than I was. And then we added kids and a whole bunch of chaoticness. So
Just to add to it.
So it was like there, but it was like not as organized that I liked,
Fair.
you know what I mean? If I'm being honest, yeah.
Can I interject? So one of our viewers, Tasha, says premarital counseling is so important. It's important to be honest and hold each other accountable. So did you guys have premarital counseling? Do you think that if you did, would that have helped with the finance aspect
I think
of it?
so, because again, I was quite young, right? And he
Yeah.
was 25 years older than me. So I
Yeah.
think if we did have, and I think that is something super important,
It is.
because I really believe in therapy.
Yeah,
As a
same,
whole.
same.
And I think every person that's deciding, like the things that you mentioned that you did before you got married, I think that that's really great, because marriage just isn't, do,
Sort of
walk
bed
down
roses.
the aisle, bed
It's-
roses,
marriage is moments of growth, okay?
So you
and
need to be
maturing.
prepared. You need to get yourself in the mindset and the skills. And I keep trying to tell my children, because I have one daughter, she's like ready to get married, and she's 16, and I'm like,
Chill out, chill
down.
out.
we gotta learn some things, but you need to be aware of a lot of things before
Yeah,
you get
before
married.
you marry.
You
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
And this is a major one.
It is, it's a big one.
So it's a norm for us to do like a 6-week or 8-week.
That's right, you were saying that, like a
counseling.
premarital counseling.
I mean,
Okay.
not even the one I did personally. I'm talking about, okay, now you want to get married. Okay,
Right.
sit down with counselors, let's see. All right, what are your expectations? This and this and this, and trust me, really, really good.
But that's where you
Because-
find out all
Yeah,
the good
because
stuff,
when,
right?
when the issues begin, when you start to have problems, then you begin to remember the things that you've been taught, right? Like
Yes.
things that was said to you guys, like, because when you're in love, you're like, you're gonna
Well,
like,
that's not
everything's
gonna
be
matter.
fine,
Everything
yeah.
out the door.
But then when you get
Red
into it,
flags out the door.
you begin to understand that no,
Yeah.
these are real life issues.
Yeah.
And you want real life issue comes with consequences, right?
does,
And
yeah.
once you're not prepared mentally, you jump into conclusions usually which is gonna be negative. It's gonna be like, you know what, you never listened to me in this marriage, I'm out of the door. Or you know what,
Right.
you never, whatever, you're just taking that. But when both of you have gone through like a training, it's easy for you to say to yourselves, you know what, let's calm down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it
True.
a lot of times.
Take a breather.
We just,
True.
yeah.
Say it.
Because we're like, it's not that deep. Why are we fighting over this thing? You know,
I think
Yeah.
having the common goal of what you want for your future, because
I love that.
your kids are gonna grow up, right? You have to put your marriage first, and finances are part of it, because you're gonna retire or whatever you
Yeah.
want to do in life.
Yeah.
You need to have the commonality of a goal. Remember what we're working for, like
Yeah.
reminding, it's,
And then you're reminded we're working on the same goal. We're
Yeah.
trying to achieve the same goal. So instead of butting heads, you're like, okay, let's just get back
listen,
to.
if you see marriage as a contract, you probably succeed more
yeah.
than seeing
I
it
say
as-
business transaction. It's a business.
If you see it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I read a book that talked about Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton's marriage.
Okay.
It's basically a contract.
Oh,
Like,
that's
you know what?
interesting.
You're gonna be a governor. You want to be a president. I also want to be, and I see that with you being with me, we're stronger together. We're better together.
Yeah.
And that's why when
It's actually kind of true if you actually know
no,
the
it's
history
true.
and watch them for the years. Like I grew up with them,
And
so-
all the stuff they've
and
been
all the
through.
stuff they've been
Yeah.
through. They actually are still together.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
they
so,
are.
yeah,
like,
Listen,
exactly.
It's basically, people ask her, like, why didn't you leave? Like, why should I leave? I mean, we do have, like, they've planned their lives. In 20 years and 30 years, this is what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
And so, and you're stronger together when, I mean, I would say, except there is a domestic abuse in that marriage.
Yeah. We're talking about like a healthy marriage with not abusive or
Yes.
anything like that.
Yes.
So just so all of our
So-
viewers know.
Exactly. Yeah. Please give us the caveats.
Disclosure, right? We're not telling you to stay in where someone's not giving you any chance at the money or, is withholding. That's just abusive, and we're not condoning that at all.
At all, at
Yeah,
all.
no, not at all.
So the third point that I have here says a couple needs to schedule a money date.
I
like
love
this
it.
Oh, this is
I love
good.
it.
I
like
love this
that.
one. So,
Yeah.
so the way it worked is you would set up a date with
Okay.
your spouse.
Yeah.
No children, nobody, just both of you, and it should be as cheap as possible. It doesn't necessarily have to be somewhere expensive. It could be a very nice cafe. It could be your parlor. It could be your home.
Yeah.
Nobody's there. All you're doing is you're chilling, you're watching Netflix, but you're also gently talking about how you want to spend the money. What are the things we need to do now
Yeah.
to make more income,
Yes.
and how do we want to spend it? What do you think about that plan?
I love it.
I think it's a really healthy way to do it, because for
is.
one, both people are happy, comfortable, and you know what you've set the intention of what you want to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're basically just chilling, having fun, eating popcorn.
Yeah.
And you're talking lightly about the finances.
And you
of
know
the house.
why I like that though? It takes away, I know a lot of people have a really hard time with talking finances, right?
It is hard.
I don't find it hard for me, but I've been with friends where they're like, nope, I have debt. I don't want to talk about it. It's off the table. No, thank you. And so in turn, they don't talk about it with their spouse maybe, or it's like a hard topic. But when you start making it nice and enjoyable, where you're just like, hey, we just want to succeed and grow. So let's just set up a date. What girl is going to say no to that? Well, I don't know. I wouldn't. Would the viewers say no to a money date? Is that what you called it? A money
Yes.
date? And it
a
gives
money
you
date.
a chance to, one of my friends here said, being transparent from the very start. Hold on, I lost the comment. So being transparent from the beginning sets a great foundation to build together. And I do agree with her, but also I don't think all is lost. Like you can start the money dates and then start building a foundation for, good conversation around
For
money.
good conversation.
Yeah.
So the next one is, if your marriage is a priority and if money is your most common tension, you will try to make time to fix it.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a
But
big
both
one.
people have to be on the same page.
Yes. So I think the first thing is, if your marriage is important to you,
Yes.
because if it's not important to you, the next one doesn't make sense. Doesn't matter,
It wouldn't, yeah, exactly.
right? But if your marriage is important to you and
Yeah.
you're always scared of talking about money, but you can't always be scared of talking about money
No.
because you are always going to spend money in the marriage,
Yeah,
right?
money is inevitable.
Right. So if money is always the tension, the common tension, anytime you talk about money, it's always, you guys never see eye to eye. Then
Yeah.
you need to make time
Yeah.
to fix it. And part of the ways you can fix it is doing a money date, talking about the lighter things, setting up a kind of environment where it's lighter, your first
Yeah,
cracking jokes.
not
and
like a board meeting, right? Where it's
Exactly.
like, where did this money go? Tasha
Exactly.
says, talk about money first on the date, then decide if you can afford to go to a nice restaurant, right? So it's like,
That's true.
it's cute where you're just like, hey, we're at home having a coffee or a cafe, and then you lay out your plan. You're on the same page because you value your marriage or your relationship, and then you say, okay, you know what, hun, this month we can go to a little swanky place to get some steaks or
Get
whatever.
dressed up.
And then
feel
it's
all
something
good.
exciting to look forward to, right?
Listen,
I
let
think
me
it's
tell
cool.
you about the African family.
Yeah.
Like in the African home, there is so much that rests on our shoulders, and I'm talking about guys living in diaspora. So guys living in hello, see how fresh I am.
Just so the viewers get another point of view.
Yeah, so like there's because we need to send money back
I
home.
think it's a bird.
Is it a bird?
Right? Yeah, it's a bird. It's a bird.
Okay.
It's a bird.
We have a bird if you're hearing
Yeah, we have a bird in the studio,
the
so-
chirping.
So we need to send money back home.
Okay, yeah.
That is sometimes could be a lot of tension
Yeah.
in the home because I have to send money back to my siblings. You have to send money back to your siblings. If you do have a joint account, that could be tough.
True.
right? So we really need to sit down and talk about how you really want to spend your money in your home.
Yeah.
I know a lot of families, black families, that don't have a joint account. It's always, the mortgage is gonna be due tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, I have $1,000. How much do you have? Oh, I have $500. Okay, put it in there.
And
That's how they do
Yeah,
theirs. If
yeah.
that works for you, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I also see sharing an account or sharing your income with each other. I see it as another form of maturity
Yeah.
and love. That's the way I see it. Because it's a different ball game if you say, okay, we have a joint account, and only when we need to pay for something, for bills, for all of that, that we put in money there. I don't know. It just
I think a
seems to me
joint account is a really positive and trustworthy thing to do.
Yes.
Right?
me,
I still
yeah.
think it's important to keep your individualness and be
Yes.
an individual and have individual
Yeah.
accounts as
Absolutely.
well.
If it works, yeah.
Absolutely. Exactly. Like if I see a couple that share joint accounts together, to me it tells me you respect each other because
Yeah.
it takes a lot for you to be able to say, okay, you know what, this is my money, this is your money, I'm putting it together.
True.
And respect your
Especially
decisions.
nowadays.
Especially nowadays. Like,
Yeah.
so it tells me that you're
It's
mature
true.
in that marriage, you communicate in that marriage, and you love each other.
Yeah.
That's what it tells me. It doesn't. I know people who don't do it and they still love each other, right?
Yes, because there are people that don't do it, and I don't know. Maybe this is a good question for the people on the live. Is this a lack of trust, right? Or is it
Yeah.
because you've just come to the conclusion that, you know what, we were raised differently, we have a different perspective on finances,
Maybe
we're still
this
going to
is
make it
you.
work, but you do you and I'll
And I
do me.
agree.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think it's bad if you don't have a joint account either. If it works that way and that's how you do your finances,
Then it
you know,
works.
like I think it's based on the couple and the people doing it. If some people want to do it one way, have a joint account or whatever, and some don't, like I think it just is based on the marriage and the couple, what they
True.
decide they want to do.
But can we all agree that it needs to be talked about before you actually get married, right?
I think yes. Find a time to like do.
And not too early.
Yeah. So not on the
I hear
first
that.
date?
I hear that. Yeah, don't go out saying, okay, you want to marry me, right? How is your finances?
Yeah,
right?
let me see that bank
Don't do
account.
Let me see. Yeah.
And
don't
what do you
that.
spend your money on?
Or more when you know you're long term and you're getting to the marriage point.
Okay,
So
that's
when do you
good.
suggest they should do it? 8 weeks, 8 months, 8 days into the relationship?
Well, and this is just me. I think after the 6-month mark, you're almost certain this is going to be a long-term relationship. And by 6 months, you have had a pretty good observation of their spending habits. Because at this point, you've gone on a bunch of dates. You guys have, you know, talked about work, how much you make, etc. So I think 6 months, you should have a good idea of their habits. And then maybe at the 1-year mark, you're talking about, hey, you know, what is our future with each other? Let's talk about finance and what does that look like, especially if you're talking about getting engaged or whatever. So maybe, to me, the 1-year mark maybe is a good time to talk about it. I don't know.
Mark?
I think it should be earlier.
Earlier?
But I think you should have an idea. If you're moving along in your relationship,
Yeah.
you kind of want to have a, you don't have to go, are we going to have an account, this, that.
Okay, but you can talk about it.
Like you still, I'd say around 6 months maybe, depending. You know, start exploring the idea.
Okay.
How they really like
Good.
to do. You have debt. How much do you make?
That's
Is
true.
it-
And what it would look like. I like asking hypotheticals. What would this look like if we were
Yes.
married and living in a house together with kids or whatever, right? What would you spend your money on?
Hypothetical questions are very good
I love hypotheticals.
because
Do too.
it's not direct and
Yeah.
the person doesn't feel threatened.
Yeah, they can answer however they,
They can
want.
answer, yes.
True.
But it also has its cons.
Yes, it
because
does.
Then the person might not be telling you the truth or
So
something,
think-
and then might want to
True.
tell you what you want to hear, right? You know, but you would see from the attitude and the character, because you can't actually hide your character for so long. It's,
Yeah.
Africans would say it's like a smoke. Character is like a smoke. No matter how much.
Shorter and shorter now for me. But it takes about 3 to 4 months max to really see somebody's true.
I agree. I
identity.
think 3 to 6 months, you should have a pretty good idea of, especially because we're talking about finance, spending habits, or lack of, right? Because another thing on the flip side, where we've been talking about spending and stuff, some people are very cheap. And I'm not talking about frugal, because I can be frugal. There's cheap, where that's where the withholding, where I don't do nothing, I don't buy nothing, I'm not taking you on a date, or I'm not buying anything for the home. And that is like a whole nother side of maybe the ugly of inside a marriage or in a relationship where one partner is like, well, maybe I want, you know, a new table with chairs, or even if it's thrifted, and someone's like, no, we are finding one in
People
the
have
alley.
an unhealthy relationship with money, or they have a fear of losing their money.
Yeah,
Because
that's
they've gone
true.
through something traumatic with
Yeah.
money growing up, maybe didn't have money growing up.
True.
Became super successful. And I've seen marriages where people have been like this,
Mm-hmm.
and the other person is struggling just to get the basis out of it, right? And it's because of the other person's relationship with money.
True.
So I do think it's good to identify your own self and your own relationship with money.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
questions for both of you. What are you scared of the most? A guy that spends so much on you, or a guy that doesn't want to spend?
God doesn't want to spend.
Yeah. I believe in generosity. I think there's something telling about a man's heart when he's generous. Now, does the woman have to dial back her expectations? Yes. We're not going to get everything, but I think if a man is generous, and that could look different for every man, right?
Yeah.
If he's generous, though, I think that's a good, kind heart. I think the other way, there's something there where they're withholding, and I think that means that they're withholding in other areas as well.
Yeah.
That's just the way I see it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same, somewhat there. I think that, what was my train of thought?
Sorry.
What was the question again? I have so many thoughts. What was the question?
So what are you scared of the most? A guy that spends so much on you or that doesn't spend at all?
I definitely doesn't spend it all because generosity is not just me. But if you have children or you
Yes, good point. Your
helping
family.
people, like I'm very much,
Yeah.
What's the problem with your mic?
Yeah. So chat,
Is it okay?
would you
Yeah,
guys be
okay,
more
better now.
concerned about a person that is overly generous or a person that's, what's the flip
Yeah,
side?
like-
Someone that's not generous at all, someone that's stingy, cheap.
Yeah.
What would you prefer? What's the red flag? I don't know. Do you have an opinion on that, or do you disagree with our point of view? Let us know in the comments, please.
All right, so our time is really fast spent, but I want
Yes.
to get into this. The most important thing you want to do in a marriage is you want to work together in marriage.
Yeah.
That's very key. However it works for you guys, that's the best thing. Make sure that you understand each other.
Yes.
Although the husband is the leader of within the marriage, according to the Bible clarifies that. With us, and that's what we're going with.
Yeah.
The wives can contribute great financial wisdom and skills to the family economy. And a lot of men see women as, oh no, well not a lot, but I mean, I've seen where the woman's ideas or concepts or whatever it is, doesn't matter, like, no, you just shut up, don't worry, I'll just make the money and we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised that women they can contribute greatly to the financial wisdom and skills to the family economy.
Yeah.
Sometimes the wife, they do have greater financial and budgetary skills,
Yes.
and the wife and the husband should take note of this. I just wanted to, I wrote that down. I wanted to say the way it came to me during the day. So it's important that you work together as one.
Yes.
Whatever works for you. If it's joint account, if it's single account, that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as debts are being paid, bills are being paid,
Yeah.
and the kids are fine, and everyone is doing great. That's cool. But make sure that if you're having issues with finances in your marriage, seek help.
Yeah, seek counseling for that.
counseling.
Just how there's counseling for other stuff,
Yeah.
there's counseling for finances. People think it's not a big deal, but it's one of the biggest factors in
It
divorces.
is.
So it is a big
Divorce.
deal. It's major. I just want to point out here.
Go ahead.
So our chat agrees. Lots of red flags for a person who is cheap or stingy. But then on the flip side, Tasha has commented also a red flag for she said men, but I'm gonna say anybody who spends a lot, right? And so to your point that you made there, it's good to have someone that budgets, and there's always going to be one. Like in a marriage, I know it can be like two people that are like crazy spenders or like two that are very cheap, but for the most part, I feel like if the woman is just able to take control of the finances and the man trusts her, or vice versa, then you guys can have a really good kind of flow of how the finances come, right? Because if he's an overspender, but she checks him very gently, being like, hey, this is the budget, but next month you can have a little bit more fun money, or the other way around, then you're just kind of like chugging along in a really smooth way,
way,
right?
yeah.
You could make it fun too and add a little
Yeah.
extra reward. Why don't we try
Totally.
to not spend all our fun money and put it towards a trip or
Then
a
you
night
go on
out
a trip.
or
Yeah,
something?
I agree.
Makes some sense. A question here on Facebook from Talks saying, what happens if one of the partners is to stay at home to take care of the kids? How does finance work, especially for the partner not working? That's a great question.
How do finances work?
So
This goes into
So the dad is to stay at home.
you've agreed in your marriage already, so the
Yeah.
finances are on that person. So the budget is all out of that money,
Yes.
right? So they've
Yeah.
obviously already agreed. So and so's gonna be staying at home mom. I'm gonna work, and that's money work. So that would have
Yeah.
to go down to what that couple has decided are the budgets. I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with Katrina. So if the man is the breadwinner and he's the one going out to work, right, as per the question, and mom is staying at home, then there still has to be a conversation, because mom is now going out. She's still taking out the kids. She's still going to activities, swimming, whatever. This costs money. So is the husband okay to be like, this is an allowance? I know, and some people don't like that word allowance, whatever, because they're not. She's not your kid. I get it,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean, right? An allotted amount of money to say, this goes to you and the kids. Spend it however you want. but everything is paid, you can still very much involve that stay-at-home parent without them having to feel like, I've got no control, I have no money, because that can turn into something very kind of detrimental to their mental health, right? Where they're not able to, they don't have gas money, they don't have finances to go buy food or snacks or anything fun, and then that turns into a control thing and resentment, and that's no good either. So I think conversation. A great point too is Tasha mentions that there is free budgeting classes all around the city. So something to Google, right, is if you are having those troubles, then go see a mentor, money mentor. And
let her drop. She can drop the links.
Tasha, do you have any links that you can drop so people can see it in the chat, please, for the budgeting classes? And I will mention, and I know we're running short on time, coming out of the marriage, and I had to rely mostly on myself. I didn't have a well-paying job because my babies were little. But there was a ton of resources in Calgary that I'm so grateful for that will help you really get on your feet. Sorry, someone's trying to call me. And so for me, it took me months to get established. I know it can take longer for other people, but if you're smart, if you're resourceful with your time and with the things that you have, you can outsource a lot of things and you can get a lot of information on how to get on your feet and then manage your money properly as a single person, because it is quite a big transition, going from 2 incomes down to 1 and just being solely reliant on yourself.
What was your experience? Because I was going to talk about single parent having to take kids.
Thank you. We didn't have time, right? I still lost, right? But I had enough for us to manage.
Yeah.
That I could pay the bills. There wasn't maybe much left over at the end of the month or every paycheck, right? I was definitely paycheck to paycheck. But it was a relief for me. You know, and I was grateful that I got that. You know, it just, part of what keeps you in a marriage is the lack of money to do it on your own. So when that happened, it was like, sort of like my freedom.
And I'll also throw this in. If you are, especially men, right, and you're making more, please make sure that all your will and all your property, let it be your wife's name.
Yes. Yeah.
There is no reason to be in that marriage if you don't really love her enough to have a will.
Yeah.
You know, I've been trying to create a will for myself.
It's important. A lot of people avoid the topic of life insurance, will, estates and stuff. So do I. It's not, I know it's a hard conversation, but at some point this comes to an end, right? And then who's taking care of my children, right? Where do my things, who do they go to, right? If I own a house or a car or whatever. So yes, I so agree with that point. If you're the man and the leader of the family in the home, make sure that everything is taken care of so that if something, Lord forbid, were to happen to you, your wife is well taken care of and the children as well, right? And if it's a topic of, you know, where you're being frugal or resentful or you don't want her to have all your money, whatever, then there's bigger issues there. And again, go to counseling, figure that stuff out, right? Some of the resources that we have are Momentum. That's one of the places that is in Calgary. And then also some public libraries have some free resources for financial advice, just so everybody knows. Thank you, Tasha.
Listen, you need to get more information.
Yeah.
And so many resources, that you can get online.
Yeah.
If you're having issues. And I cannot stress it. I cannot overstress it, right? I've seen a lot of homes where the wife dies and it's a hustle to get the properties in the wife's name because
it is
stuff organized.
And it's so funny in Canada that if you die without a will, you're in soup.
Yeah.
Where I work, it's really a tussle. I see it every day.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he didn't leave a will. She didn't leave a will, and now the government is going to take almost everything from you, right?
Wow.
So, so it's
terrible.
It's not smart. So if you're home and you're like, okay, I'm not going to die now. Listen, you don't know.
You just don't know.
You just don't know. So you want to make life easy for your spouse.
Yes.
You're leaving behind and your children.
Yeah.
You're leaving behind. Please get a will. Get an interstate, get whatever you need to get.
Speak to a financial advisor. And for anybody that is on the live today, I have a few connections with financial advisors. Please feel free to write any of us and we can connect you with that person. And that way, you know, all your, your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, right? Even as a single mom, I make sure I have everything set so that, you know, I have a trustee, my kids are well taken care of, and then for me, my mom is my beneficiary, and everything is just ready to go because you don't know. You really don't know.
It's important.
Be deliberate. Be
Yes.
deliberate.
A living will is important too, because if something happened to you,
Yeah, you need something.
and like for me, my best friend is my everything that way to help if anything like that was to happen for the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have a phone and a car. That's all I have if I die.
Hey, I want the car and the phone.
Right. All right. So we're almost at the end of the show today. We've got just a few more minutes. Let's talk briefly about there's something I wrote here actually. Oh yeah, the last one is understand what is important to each other and figure out if you can make it an annual budget. Do you believe in annual budget?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think every home should have the short-term plan
Yes.
and a long-term plan.
Yep.
And I do have it. But I think every home should have, like, and even if you're single out there, it doesn't matter if, I mean, it's not just for married people, couple. If you should be, okay, within now and 6 months, what do
Yeah.
we want to achieve? Or within now and 2 years, what do we want to achieve?
Yes.
Okay, within now and 5 years,
Yeah.
what do we want to achieve?
Yeah.
We want to buy more properties?
Yeah.
So you can start saving towards it. I think that every home should have that. What
I
do you
think so. It motivates you more when you
It
start putting the
does.
visual of what you actually want to
Yeah.
gain in life and what you want to be or what you want to do
I agree.
or how you want your marriage to be, or even if you are a single person, because I'm a single person. So
Yeah.
like I have my monthly 3 month, 6 month week or my yearly goals too of where I want to be and how I want to improve and stuff like that. So I think
Yeah.
it's really important.
So I don't think
Yeah.
if you don't make enough money, that's just that doesn't work. Like, listen, I barely get through the month. So
But if you actually break it down, because I've had periods of time in life where I barely made a lot of money, and you still can do something with a little
You
amount.
can. I'm
Single, I think single
honestly,
parents, I wouldn't just say single mothers, but I
You guys
think
are so
single
resourceful.
parents get really good at
you're
this.
resourceful.
You do.
Trust
You
me.
have to be resourceful. You don't even have a choice.
You don't.
get pushed into being resourceful because you do have a little to work with. But Katrina's right. You realize you're like, oh, you know what? I hit up McDonald's every week almost. And that amounts to $50 a month. That could be going into an RSP or into a TFSA or whatever, or just into savings or into your emergency fund, right?
Let me tell you a story.
All of that.
While we were walking back at the dealership,
Yeah.
one of the staff that we had, I'm not going to mention name, she once told me, she just sat down with me, I think after she worked for like a month and a half, she just told me, Fola, do you know that I calculated what I spent on McDonald's and all of that, and skip the dishes and all of that.
Yeah.
So I've spent $750
In a month?
in a month.
Oh my gosh. That's more than a car payment, Lord Jesus.
No, like car payment, groceries, essentials.
Like everything.
But she was single at the time, so is it smart to start saving as a single?
Yeah.
Yes. As soon as you can start saving, like the moment you have a job, start saving.
My kids already, they get a lump of money. It's like
Yes.
they pay their tithing, they pay savings, and then they have a little bit to spend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Start
Yeah, sorry, Katrina. This is where I suggest the Dave Ramsey stuff, where I spoke to you about that, Fola. So Dave Ramsey, not a lot of people like him because he's so direct with how finances should work, but he has what's called the 7 baby steps. And all it is like $1,000 emergency fund, 3 months of expenses, just in case you lose a job or whatever, right? You need 3 months and you're comfortable. And then you start going down, right? You pay debt, you pay a home, etc. But you can start doing that when you're not with kids or with this spouse, and then you're ahead of the game. Like, I wish I would have done that.
That's
Totally.
a very good idea too, because
Yeah.
saving when you're single, especially when you have I see a lot of single ladies and guys
Yes.
that make maybe not so much, but they make good money, and because they don't have anything
and they don't save.
they're not saving. They're just going to nightclubs, spending all the money
Yeah.
and all of that. Trust me, you want to save.
Yeah.
You do.
You really want to save, and
Yeah.
I think it's smarter and it's better when you even start saving as a single.
I
And
think so
you
too.
have a lot of things with you. You have this money saved up. You have as much as you want, and then you're going into a marriage almost from the place of strength. You have your
Exactly.
own money.
Yeah.
It's now your choice if you want to share it, or you want to share the idea of having some savings with your partner or not. But I would suggest maybe you briefly talk about it.
Yeah.
But you can still insist that it's your money, whatever it is.
I think you can use the same logic as like you can have combined savings and then separate savings, right? Like maybe I have a personal goal to buy a really expensive Schwinn bike and he could care less for it. Well, I'm gonna save my $2,000 where he can save whatever, but then we also have a trip in mind or a house or a trailer. I think the same for general finances can apply to savings. You can work it out, right? However that looks.
All right, so we have come to the end of the show. Just the last word from you before we go. What would you have to say to that single mom out there who has 3 kids and she can
Yep.
barely go by?
I agree.
You're doing a really good job. Be proud of yourself. And life is a process. It takes time, and you'll get there.
Yeah.
And Laura?
Advice: be resourceful, honestly, and you have way more power than what we realize. So just use that. Ask for help. Help is always there when you need it, so don't be too prideful to ask for help, and you will advance. Be smart. Everything that's worth having is earned, right? And so there's delayed gratification. I really believe in that. So yeah.
All right, thank you so much. And like it always is, time is never on
I
our
know,
side.
and we didn't do the prize, and we have people waiting here. But please tune in for
Next
next
week?
Friday. We promise that
Okay,
we
so
will
what
have
we're gonna
it.
do next Friday?
The guideline right
There's
now.
not going to be topic for next Friday, so that we can have
Yeah.
more people just.
Yeah, we'll
Ask
have a
questions?
free range Friday where we will have trivia questions.
Maybe we could do games next
Yes.
Friday.
Yeah. And join us because we do have that $100, and we really want to give it away.
Nobody
But
called
we
me
ran
in.
out of
The
time.
money's just sitting down there and nobody's doing
Yeah,
anything.
so please join us for next Friday. Thank you for joining us today and for interacting with us. That was great.
Oh, yeah, that was-
Amazing questions and really great advice.
That was great.
Yeah.
All right, I think I have another reaction here. Oh, it's just a reaction. All right. All right, so yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and it's been a great time. We'll
Thank
see
you,
you next week Friday,
everybody.
same time, same
Place
place.
on the Friday Night
and
Mix
then
Show.
Same faces, smiley faces. Thank you. Have a pleasant evening.
Bye. Thank you guys for joining. Tasha, I know it's twice you've tuned in and no money. We're just gonna have to catch you next Friday, girl. Ooh.